5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello, TL. Good evening, gents. Gorgeous day here. Hope all is good and well for you. What's the temperature like? Are you in high temperatures, or is it just a nice evening? Oh, what time of day would it be in America now? They're going to be probably what we hear.
It's about 5 or 6 hours behind.
So it's going to be kind of 3 o'clock in 3 o'clock. Homer!
Yeah, something like that. So
about 2 or 3 o'clock.
I hope you're having a fairly mild. It's not going to be mild, is it? It's going to be scorching, and everyone's burning to death.
The world's on fire.
For us, though, it's actually this is fairly comfortable.
This is the coolest it's been in a
it's a mild, not even a chill in the air, but there's a slight kind of, you could feel that if you were to go outside naked, it'd get a bit nippy. That's all I'm saying.
You're always the one.
Yeah.
Homer, whereabouts are you? Are you in the UK? Are you abroad? Are you?
The mystery of who is Homer.
Are you
continues.
Are you in the pantheon of Greece?
Are you regaling people with tales of your ancestors? I certainly hope so.
Yeah. How's the weather where you are?
How's your toga? That's what I want to know.
How's your toga getting on?
How's your toga? So, what's been going on? We've just had a huge, typically with me and Simon, we've just had a whole discussion that would have probably been really cool if you guys have all chipped in on before you came on.
Whenever we get together, we just start talking.
Yeah, we're talking about, the meaning of life, the mysteries of the universe, the idiocy of certain people. The usual ups and downs of life.
Some people, though, they don't like deep conversations. Me, on the other hand, I think you too. I think minutia's great, and you need that to be able to introduce yourself to people and start talking. But I think I'm going to move my chair a bit.
Crazy. Crazy man.
Crazy. The more interesting stuff are the deep conversations.
Yeah, I find this. What's your preference out there, everyone? Because I know, for example, if you first meet someone and then they start talking about, the in-depth intricacies of life and the various layers and complexes of everything.
Does anyone, though? I don't believe anyone does that. I've never ever met anyone who goes, how apart from maybe Jehovah's Witnesses when they come to the door.
Possibly.
But that's a hard good credit to them. That's a hard intro. Hiya, I've come to talk to you about the news of God. Kind of, that's a tall order. But I don't think anyone does. I think everyone just goes, hiya, how you doing? The weather, or how's your day been? How's your week been? That's usually the start, and then from there you escalate, don't you?
Yes, I suppose so. And then I've seen the times where I escalate and I see them just go
glaze over.
Yeah. So that's why I know. And even with my lovely other half, Carrie, there's times where you can see she's checked out. Ages ago, she's just looking at me like, I'm done.
I'm out of here.
So you're one of the few I can really get into the nitty-gritty.
Into the armpit of it. Into the hairy armpit of stuff.
I was going to say into the belly button, but I know definitely not for you.
I'm omphallophobic. That means I don't like anything.
No belly buttons for you,
TL
sir.
says, a very moderate day, just like UK today.
Oh, excellent.
Homer says, Toga is blowing in a nice breeze. Just see him on the side of a mountain standing like that.
Yeah, please. Yeah. Holding a stone tablet and just
laurel wreaths on the head.
It's a beautiful vision.
Rob!
Hello, buddy. How you doing?
How you guys' week been? My week's been fairly busy actually, dude. Yours?
Busy-ish. I've actually got a couple of days off coming up. I have Thursday and Friday off. So we're going to go to Clacton Air Show on Thursday. I do love an air show. And
don't you just?
Watch old aircraft flying around and just going, ooh, and getting all emotional. That's what I tend to do.
How's your week been, Rob? What have you been up to?
Yes. What have you all been up to?
Do you like a good air show?
I have a new camera as well, so I have to...
What camera you got?
I have purchased a Sony A6400.
All right, I don't know why I asked because I have no idea what that is. That means nothing to me.
It's one that a lot of bloggers use, a lot of people who do YouTube. The particular camera and the lens that I've got are very commonly used and get really good results. I went around my friend Sam's, he showed me his setup. That's what he's got, and I just looked at the quality and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah?
Yeah, even just taking a photo, just sitting there, it was like, this looks more professional just sitting in a room with this photo taken than anything I've had taken ever before.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, they're really beautiful cameras and lenses. So that's kind of my getting myself set up ready for the new year when I have to put more time into music and all of this gumph.
TL says, Ruth always tells me, have too much detail. So do I shut up? Nope.
No, if in doubt, beat her into the ground with knowledge. You will understand where I'm coming from.
How did you meet Ruth, by the way?
That's a very good point,
It
actually.
might be a very personal question, so you don't have to answer if you don't want to. But
for any of you,
interesting.
Tell us how you met your partners. We're always interested. Yeah, we like to be nosy about people.
I haven't got a partner.
Huh? How did you meet the partner that you currently live with who's not your partner?
I got invited to her birthday party. So
That's
my
interesting.
ex-partner.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay then.
And then I met the other partners I've had. One lived across the road from me. The other
That's
one's at gigs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the handy thing about being a musician. You tend to meet quite a lot of people.
Yeah, they would run away now if they could. Yeah, no, gigs. Usual thing. Right, so we're going to do a talky one today.
We are going to do a talky one. I have a bit of a swollen throat at the moment, and I have 2 gigs at the weekend. So I'm trying to...
Is it adenoids or is it...
I don't know. It's just that I get it occasionally. I don't know if it's a reflux thing where it's just attacked, and but it just feels chunky. Got a chunky throat going on.
So Mike has a lot of acid reflux problems. So
yes, never wake up in the morning without a sore throat.
So is it actually because you have
a hiatus hernia?
Yeah, so your sphincter muscle at the top of your stomach.
Sphincter.
So all sphincter muscles are a circular ring muscle that basically tightens around a tube. So when you're pinching one off, whichever way it is,
snip.
Yeah. So when you have a hiatus hernia, that muscle is strained and doesn't close properly. So what happens is you have in your stomach potassium chloride and hydrochloric acid that breaks down all your foods into smaller components, minerals and stuff.
I have something to contradict that.
Go on, hit me with it.
Okay. I always thought that it was the acid in your stomach that actually is what breaks down the food. Apparently it's not. It's the acid that creates the best environment for the enzymes to break down your food.
Yes. Yeah, no.
Did I get a thing? Hang on. Have we're not prepared for this eventuality. Do we have a Mike got... No. We don't have a Mike got a thing right because it never happens.
Yeah, so... Yeah, so my understanding is that they do the first part of breaking the food down, and then the enzymes digest it into, they break down into smaller constitutional parts. So you have mastication, which is where you chew something and then your tongue rolls it into what's called a bolus, which is kind of an oval shape.
I do like a tongue in my bolus.
You swallow that down, you've got loads of boluses in your stomach.
You're saying very, very seductive words. Tonguing, swallow,
into
bolus.
A moist bolus.
How moist is your bolus, ladies and gentlemen? Please write in.
Right, Rob said, spent a huge amount of time when I was younger going to air shows. Oh, with my dad.
Oh, good lad.
Had me 109 and B-17 models we made hanging from my ceiling until I was about 17. Cool. I don't know what those particular aircraft are. Do you know?
An ME-109 is a German fighter.
I used to know this kind of stuff when I was at school. We used to have trump cards with all the different...
Yeah. So it was one of kind of...
Junker 88 used to be my favourite.
Oh, yes. But yeah, the ME-109 was kind of one of the main rivals of like the Spitfire and everything.
Oh, right. So it was a highly manoeuvrable kind of...
Yeah, it was.
Was it a single engine?
Yes. Yeah, right nippy little bastard it was. The B-17 is the Flying Fortress, like Sally B and the Memphis Belle.
Also, as well, the way they worked the guns on those, that they only fed the bullet in between. That is genius.
Yeah, so that you didn't shoot your own propeller
off. Yeah, that's just so genius. That they developed that so well.
The most bizarre thing about, if you think about the
sorry, just for anyone who doesn't know, just explain what they actually came up with when the engine would be running at like 38,000 RPM or something like that, and as the blade came through, so that they had a machine gun mounted on there, but so it didn't fire through the blade. It was on like a cogwheel kind of thing, wasn't it? Like
I think so, yeah.
A geared mechanism, so that it only shot the bullets in between the precise gap, as the blades went round.
It became less essential as it went on to, for example, that was more common in things like biplanes, where, for example, your guns would be mounted on the actual body.
Yeah.
But then as you went out to sort of monoplane aircraft, where you had the actual guns put into the wings, obviously it became less of a...
But when they used to have the single engine one, and then you had a machine gun, that just to think about the preciseness of that,
it's ingenious.
Is just fantastic.
But before aircraft actually had guns, so what people would do, you'd have if you were flying and you had someone in the back, they would shoot at other pilots with rifles, or drop hand grenade or handheld bombs out and things.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, and it wasn't until obviously later on where they started incorporating it into. But can you imagine just driving you there, bang, fuck off.
Oh, it must have been so scary. TL said, I met Ruth online. She was immediately attracted to my good looks and ability to pay attention to detail. Well, sir.
Yes, women love attention to detail.
Well, apparently Ruth thinks different. She saw a pic of me playing guitar. I didn't know you play guitar. I thought you just sang, dude. She's my only groupie. Oh.
Always nice to have a groupie.
Hello,
ladies. But yeah, so that is what I will be doing on Thursday, going to watch Aircraft, and then Friday.
Is it a big show in Clacton?
Fairly big. It's not bad. So Sally B's going to be there. She's going to be flying over doing her thing, and they have I've never seen it. They have a Twilight display where they have all different display teams. I think they've got this gyrocopter that goes up and fires out flares and things, and so that should be really cool.
Homer says, I think the first plane to have guns that fired through the propellers was called the Sopwith Camel. I remember the Sopwith Camel.
Sopwith Camel, yeah, that's a British biplane.
Well done, Homer.
Check you and your plane knowledge.
Standing there in your toga.
Yeah.
With your breeze running through.
Let me tell you about Spitfires.
So we're going to talk about space today.
We are, amongst other bullshit that whatever comes our way. So Simon has prepared for us a PowerPoint presentation on the subject of space. So let's do our 10 fun facts, because space is just fucking awesome. It's amazing.
There's a lot of it, isn't there?
There's a fair old bit, I reckon.
Now, Mike said something to me earlier today that changed, that I actually thought was...
I just asked him if he fancied a bum. That was all.
That I thought was actually a fantastic way of looking at something. So we were talking about quite deep subjects and got onto kind of a point of religion and the paranormal and things like that. And Mike said that, so if I may be so bold to paraphrase...
You'll remember it better than I will.
That religion is something man-made, and if there was something, it's been here. So there's something innate, it seems, in human beings to think there's something bigger, whereas whether it's a bigger entity, intelligence, something bigger, something overlooking, but it seems quite deep in our genetic memory that we have this feeling, and from that stems kind of religion, which again that's just a point of view. Other people believe religion very differently.
You do you.
Yeah, you do you. But he was saying that if that was, whatever the case is, if there is anything that's bigger, more than us, because I was talking about, I've for donkey's years had an interest in near-death experiences and stuff like that. And if there is a life after death or whatever, but that intelligence has been here far, 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 far longer than we've ever been. So in other words, it's not, you're talking of billions of years. And so it's not that. And I just thought, yeah, because on the grand scale of things, human beings have been present in the universe for, if it's a 24-hour day, we've been here than less than a second at just before midnight. Yep. So that really is a fascinating and a stunning concept. Again, if you believe certain religions believe sort of 6,000 years the world is that old and stuff, and that's fair enough if that's people's belief. Science shows evidence that it's a lot older, billions and billions of years. But that really does sum up something quite massive to me in the general scheme of things, because that means then we kind of, we pray to our gods, or we pray for help, or we believe that something's looking over us, but really we are just such a minute element in the grand scheme of things that we so don't matter.
Yeah, if there is a God, the God was there when the first microbiomes were created.
Big Bang, etc.
Yeah, the Big Bang, through the dinosaurs, through when creatures crawled out of the sea onto the land. He wasn't sitting there, feet up, reading the paper all through the billions of years until human beings arrived and go, you know what, they're the ones for me.
Yeah, I've been waiting for this. And also as well, like we were saying, so Stegosaurus to T-Rex, there's the difference is, I think, 70 million years. And so dinosaurs were here for 130 million years, and they've been extinct for 60 million years. And human beings have only been present for the last 200,000 years. These are very rough figures, by the way. I apologise for that. But that really is quite a massive thought, I thought. I thought that was quite genius of you. Really.
Yeah, it's... Again, anyone can feel free to believe in whatever you believe, but the idea that religion and the God, we are the chosen ones, to me always strikes of such, not also ego, but desperation to believe that we are important.
I think it's just, I think as human beings we're imperfectly made, and we try and get over that. So I think that's just part of how we're made. Everything, all life. If you look at life,
we always believe that we're more important than we actually are.
Yeah, but we are kind of self-serving, aren't we? You look at plants, and they're only interested in their growth over other
plants.
We're
all self-serving creatures.
So yeah, life is that in its element. Rob says B17 had Sally B on one side and Memphis Belle on the other, like the one at Duxford.
Yes. So
explain that.
The Memphis Belle was one of the few aircraft that actually completed its full tour of duty.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and retired, basically. They actually, even after they finished their tour of duty, I do believe they went on to do a few more missions as well.
Oh, right.
I think it was something, I can't remember, Rob, you may know that. I think it's something like 25 sorties or something they had to fly, or it might have been like 200, I can't remember. But then once they complete that tour of duty, they then retired. And the Memphis Belle, the actual aircraft, is in a museum in America. And the one in the UK, they used...
Do you know where the Memphis Belle was flown from? Like, where was it flown out from?
It was in the UK. I can't remember which airfield it was.
I didn't realise that. I didn't realise the Memphis Belle... So it flew all its missions from the UK?
Most of, various airfields around the UK were... Right. Because obviously, when the Americans joined the war, obviously a natural staging ground was...
So there's one not far from here. There used to be one in just outside of Finchinfield. There used to be the American base.
Yes, you have Andrewsfield, which is just down the road from here. I believe that was either... I think that might have been Mitchell's that flew from there. So sort of medium-sized American bombers. But so they... For the Memphis Belle film, I think, I could be completely wrong, but Sally B is the aircraft. If you look on the one side of the one that's at Duxford, her decals are a naked lady, blonde hair laying like that, and on the other side is Memphis Belle. And I think they put the Memphis Belle on the other side of the aircraft for the film so that they could use it in the film. That's what I think, because the genuine Memphis Belle is in America.
Right. Okay.
So
Lorraine says, "Good evening, Lorraine. Hello.
Hello, Lorraine.
Neil. Hi, Neil. I said that really weird. Sorry. Hi, Neil.
Oh, he's just going to be silly. Neil.
Oh, Neil. Oh, Neil. I think there is also a similar confusion of time disparity between Tutankhamun, spell check, Cleopatra, and us. Yes, you're very right.
Yes, because Cleopatra was in Roman times, wasn't she?
Yes, so she's supposed to be closer to us than she is to...
Same time as Julius Caesar.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So, because she... Did she marry Caesar, or they had a child together?
That I don't know, dude.
Yes, they had a child together, and then Caesar was murdered, and then she took Mark Antony as her lover, so who was Caesar's...
Hello.
Yes.
So Homer said The Memphis Belle was a great film, really vivid, yes. They made it into a film in the 90s, Lorraine said, yes. Obviously a smaller scale than the dinosaur thing, so the gap between Cleopatra and Tutankhamun.
Yeah, because I can't remember Tutankhamun... Try and remember when Caesar was. Was Caesar BC or AD?
AD.
So Tutankhamun was it 1,000, 2,000 years before?
Am I right in saying AD? Maybe I'm wrong, actually. Caesar.
Could someone fact check for us? When was Julius Caesar around and when was Tutankhamun around?
So Homer said, just looked it up. Memphis Belle flew from RAF Bassingbourne, Cambridgeshire. I think you're right, was 25 missions.
Yeah.
Rob said.
God, I'm getting... This is...
You are having a monster
I'm on
night.
fire today.
So what is the fascination? Sorry, we'll get onto space in a second. I've just got to ask, what is the fascination with World War II or aircraft?
Deep thrumming hard engines.
No, why is that? So it's because it isn't interesting. Not as many as you'd think, but I wouldn't want to be. Yeah, no.
In the ball. No. Have you ever seen the ball turret on?
On the film, I think I haven't watched all of the film.
You basically you crawl into it, and you are almost sitting upside down for the duration of your mission. I think you're upside down. I'm pretty sure you are, but it's not a place you want to be when you've got like Messerschmitt Bf-109s come flying at you, full guns are blazing, and it just
must have been just sheer terror, mustn't it? Anyway, what is the fascination with seeing that? Like, so you go and see a lot of air shows. I know you're mad about playing games and stuff where you're flying aircraft, and as much as that might be fun to play that, what is the fascination you have that you go and see these things?
I think there's just... It's the same as if you see like a really beautiful car. There's something about the actual structure, the actual the creation itself. This flying machine. There's always that element of wonder. At the other air show I went to not long ago, so they had Edwardian ones, but the ones that basically look like a pram with sheets attached to it and some looks like balsa wood or just tent poles that are all stuck together, and you're just like, this guy's sitting on top. He's not even sitting in it, he's sitting on top of it. And you're just seeing how this thing can even fly is just a testament to sort of engineering. And
so is it the ingenuity? So in the same way,
part of it, yeah.
So some people love to go and see old buildings and stuff like that because they're interested in the
architecture,
history, and the history that's tied. Is it that same type of appreciation that you have? Do you think?
Yeah, there's a big part of that, but also with the knowledge of what it stood for and what it did. And especially for any of you, and we've talked about this before, if you've never seen... If you can get hold of it, it's not as easy to get hold of as it was. World at War, narrated by Laurence Olivier, is one of the most incredibly... And it's weird. I can feel myself almost getting upset thinking about it because when I watched it had such an emotional impact, talking about how the formation of the war... how Hitler manoeuvred himself into power, and then of course it shows the war, the progression of the war, the devastation, the bombings of the UK, the bombing of Dresden, which after watching the documentary about literally it's even just talking about it, I don't think I was ever the same again after seeing that.
Roughly how old would you have been when you saw that?
in probably maybe late 20s, early 30s.
All right.
But just knowing that so many...
Did you know much about the war before then?
Not really, no. But in Dresden, so many incendiary bombs were dropped that basically vortexes and tornadoes of fire formed. And because obviously the fire is burning all the oxygen and air, it was sucking all the air in. People, like, you know, when you see in films people clinging on to things and being dragged, people were being dragged into vortexes of fire. And I'll have to stop talking. It's really weird. It has just this effect on me, just to know this all happened and that human beings
suffered
through that. It just
let's just read. So I think we've got the ball turret is just off the top there.
Yes, so we've...
So TL said the Memphis Bell is in Dayton, Ohio. I believe at one time it was on loan to the museum in my hometown at Kalamazoo. Oh, of course, yeah. Kalamazoo.
I love that word.
Kalamazoo is a great word.
It's a brilliant word.
That was the original name for Gibson guitars before they were called Gibson.
Oh, they should have kept
Kalamazoo, because I think they were obviously they were built there. The ball turret on the Millennium Falcon says that does look fun actually. So King Tut 1332 to 1323 BC. Oh, home is talking about his childhood.
It's just on home territory now.
King Tut 1332 to 23 BC.
So,
Cleopatra 1690.
Oh, of course,
69 to 30 BC.
Was he called Caesarean because he had to be born by Caesarean section? Was that what the Caesarean section was named?
It might be the other way around.
Yeah, it was named after that because they had to be
cut out. Julius Caesar was born in 100 BC. Yeah, so it is BC. So I was completely wrong by saying
before.
AD. So
Spitfire flew right over my house on Sunday, made my 2-year-old daughter soilless.
Oh, bless her.
We do get in Braintree, you get, because of the flight path from Duxford, if they're going down south, because you've got Stansted is directly below it. Obviously, you can't fly through the Stansted airspace. So you have to come down from Duxford and go around Stansted, which brings you right over Braintree, across Whittam, and then like if you're going down to Biggin Hill or if you're going down to North Weald down there. So if you're in the Braintree area, generally you will see quite a lot of World War II stuff going over. So it's a good place to live.
If you like that. If you don't like it.
If you like that sort of thing. If you don't, it's shit. Just try and shoot them. No, don't try and shoot them out of the sky. I don't know.
Right, are we going to get onto space?
Yeah, I think we should. Yeah.
Right.
Space time. Here we go,
Space
everyone.
time.
10 fun facts right up your That was us two, that was. Yeah, check what he did. Right, so ladies and gentlemen, let's find out about that beautiful old black lump out there called space.
Neil says, how do they know when to start counting BC years? Serious planning needs to be a specific deadline.
Yeah. I think it got slightly changed by the for the Christian calendar.
There was a thing in the news today that there's been a load of Italian scientists. They've developed a new way of dating things, so it's not done by carbon-14 dating. So carbon-14, I believe, is the isotope of carbon, and it's a radioactive isotope, so that's how they do carbon dating. And they found out that, so they redated because apparently when they originally dated bless your heart, dated the shroud.
That looked like you just did a Jedi mind trick, but a lot kinder, just, oh, bless your heart.
This is not the Nats you are thinking of.
Yeah, stormtroopers just go, oh.
And they said that they got different readings. So apparently the Turin Shroud had been in a fire, so they had a more recent date towards the middle than they did on the edge. But they're doing a different dating, which has to do with the cellulose in flax, I think, if I remember right, and a way of dating that. And they think that it dates around to kind of about 100 AD.
Oh, okay.
70 to 100 AD, they think. So that'll be interesting because that'll obviously.
I also found out from a friend of mine, and I'll probably completely murder this. He studied archaeology. Yeah. And he said that obviously to be able to date recent finds is very difficult because of you can't use the carbon dating process in the same way you said. But one of the interesting things is, I think due to Chernobyl,
yes,
is this right? Because of the amount of nuclear fallout, everything, all human beings from a certain point have radiation in them. So therefore, and that shows up, doesn't it, in their...
Yes. Yeah.
Is it in their cellular structure, or is it?
Yeah, but also plants and other matter as well. So that's in the same way as they do that with ice samples as well. They can judge from various volcanic activity how much is in the ice shelves and stuff like that as well. Yeah, which is really interesting. But whether that'll get any more, who knows? Homer says there were 12 Julius Caesars. The last one died in 96 AD. That's really interesting.
When was the first? Okay, everyone, I hope you're all Googling like crazy out there. So
because I didn't know that. That's really good.
No,
Homer.
so if the last one died in 96 AD and Caesar was in 100, he was born in 100 BC. So obviously you've got 200-year span there. So I take it that Julius Caesar was not the first Julius Caesar.
And the general age limit roundabout then was probably late 30s to 40s. That was the general, the average lifespan.
Or if you're Julius Caesar, not really much because you got full of stabs.
Stabbed up good.
Stabbed up good and proper. Right. Brutus, you bastard. Okay, so fact number 1, ladies and gents, coming at you. Boom.
1 million Earths could fit inside the sun.
Jeez.
And our sun is considered an average-sized star. Now, that is fantastic, isn't it?
Oh, bless our little star. Nothing special.
1 million Earths.
Jesus.
1
How big?
million. I mean, that kind of composition is very hard to actually equate that because of the quantity.
How big... I wonder how many Earths fit in Jupiter. Because Jupiter's the biggest planet in our solar system, isn't it?
It's still way, way, way smaller, though, than... I think it's about... It can't be. I was going to say, I have it in my mind it's about 8 times bigger, but I don't think so. I think I'm talking absolute nonsense.
No, I think it's,
I'm talking nonsense.
Remember,
don't trust me. I'm talking.
Google is your friend, ladies and gentlemen.
So, but that's interesting. That kind of gives you
a
scope of just how vast the sun is.
Yep.
And that's just a constant nuclear reaction going on. Go on, you read this one.
There are 500,000 pieces of space junk orbiting the Earth today, from parts of rockets to spanners dropped by astronauts.
So they, NASA, monitor as many bits of space junk that they can. Lots of those things, a vast amount of them are, Neil said...
Homer and Neil.
1,300 Earth, and I said 8. Not even close. I was talking utter rubbish. 1,300 Earths into Jupiter. Thank you both, Homer and Neil. So they monitor a lot of the satellites that have broken or been hit. So a lot of satellites get demolished by asteroids hitting them and just explode and other stuff. Some of them just die and fall back to Earth. So they monitor a lot of this space junk, and they're monitoring 500,000 bits.
Even just like the real micro pieces that can. Could you imagine how terrifying it must be being out there doing a spacewalk and just knowing that really at any moment the tiniest little bit of
can
debris
come through you like a bullet?
Yeah.
And also as well that so although they're monitoring these bits of space junk, they cut off what they monitor over a certain size, or because they deem that as it comes down to Earth it would just burn up in the atmosphere anyway, so they don't need to monitor it. But that's still interesting.
Okay. Number 3.
An asteroid the size of a car enters Earth's atmosphere roughly once a year, but burns up before it can cause damage. So again, that's why they're monitoring a load of this stuff, because they're constantly, I think since kind of 2005 or so, they started trying to monitor this stuff, because that's when they first did research into asteroids that could possibly be... what do they call it?
An extinction level event.
Thank you. That's said so well. Well done. Exactly.
If you've ever seen the film Deep Impact, have you ever seen that?
I'm never really that interested.
Fucking hell, that film broke me into an emotional wreck.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think I could watch it again now. It was a favourite film, and I bawled like just a devastated man every time I watched it. But yeah, they called it
Emma.
They called it Ellie. extinction level event.
Oh, I see. Well done. Hi, Emma. Emma says, hi, guys. How are you? I hope you're all okay. Kiss, kiss, kiss.
Oh,
3 kisses.
bless
That's
you.
the most kisses I've had in absolutely ages.
Kiss, kiss,
Thank
kiss
you.
back to you, darling.
Yeah.
Jupiter is
Jupiter's more massive than all the other planets. Sorry, go on, you go.
That's all right. Is more massive than all the other planets, moons, and asteroids, etc. combined. It's a big lad, no doubt about it.
And it's 1,300 Earths, not 8.
It's just all full of gas, like me.
There's a lot. Actually, I was watching a program about Jupiter recently. Really interesting. 128 million pieces of space junk under a centimetre currently in orbit.
That's terrifying. I mean, obviously, it's a big old gap up there around the Earth, but knowing that's... Can you just envision in the future? I remember seeing it in a film or something at some time where they showed Earth from a distance, and there was literally just a ring of debris around Earth. So...
all in orbit.
Yeah, terrifying. Okay, number 4.
The sunset on Mars is blue.
Oh, that's lovely.
And that's, again, because of refraction. So that causes that.
Now, the question is...
Because there's lots of dust.
You know the whole thing about
63 Earths in Uranus. Thank you, dear.
Well, hello.
Go on, hit me with
Would
it.
you like to make it 64? Do you remember the whole thing about them drawing a penis on Mars with the Mars rover?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they said, it was purely accidental. It was bollocks, was it? Come on. If that's any computer geek worth his soul. And I know this from computer games where you get to land on planets, build bases and everything. The first thing you did. The first thing I did was 2 domes and a tower.
Or is it just pareidolia? So
no, you don't draw a penis by accident. Unless the rover itself has a really good sense of humour. Okay.
Lorraine says, we are not content with polluting the Earth, we are now polluting space. It's so true. And that was one of the reasons that they started to look at this, because they once they actually started to look at how much space debris was, because all the early sort of missions, one to the moon, but also various other places, and then also every time they sent a satellite up, and there's thousands of satellites up. Excuse me. They realised that they just kept releasing, sending off rockets and just releasing stuff, and so they're now trying to. I mean, that's one of the things that SpaceX was trying to bring back.
Yeah.
Because there's just so much debris there that it's actually making it a massive hazard to have.
Because I sent you a podcast, didn't I, talking about, was it the one where I don't know if it's the one I sent you. So that completely counts as what I was just about to say.
I sent you, didn't I? But I don't know why I sent you.
Yeah.
Go on.
You know the thing I sent you but probably didn't? Where they're talking about possibly finding caves on the moon.
Yes, yeah.
So one of the great things that they're talking about is obviously building a moon base, or, in the future colonising the moon. The problem is, obviously, you have all the radiation and all the various elemental issues that would just cause living there absolutely horrific. But they believe that through various Passovers and various scans and photos that they have found possible caves on the moon, which would mean that if they could set up a moon base in the cave, because obviously as the moon orbits the Earth and the sun, you get ridiculously high temperatures and all the danger that has. Being in a cave would regulate the temperatures as well. So if that's the case, that would make inhabiting the moon much, much more likely.
So Homer said they are gigantic lava tubes, I think. You
Yes.
are 100% right there.
We obviously listen.
Superb.
Do you listen to, what's the podcast?
It was the Skeptics
No.
thing.
Skeptic's Guide to the Universe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wasn't it that?
That's
I
the
think
one,
it was. Yeah. Did you listen to that? Neil says, although the point is valid, the vast expanse of space versus some of our satellites probably is similar to dropping.
I presume there is supposed to be more to that.
Or maybe that's it, just dropping.
Yeah. Probably isn't. If there's more, carry on. If not, that was a lovely story in its own.
Vast expanse is verse some of our satellites probably is similar to dropping. something in the ocean, obviously.
I think there's supposed to be an ocean reference there.
So I'm going to take a guess that's what that was about. I saw it on a documentary with William Shatner. Ooh. Oh, he does the Unbelievable Unexplained or something, doesn't he? So, yeah. The vast expanse of space, but with some of our satellites versus some of our satellites.
There we go.
Probably. A grain of sand in a swimming pool. But they're all in great... close location to, so we've got one of the things here, space is only 62 miles up, so these things are very close to the Earth, as opposed to if it was just that they were out in the middle of
orbiting is an annoying
orbitism
orbitism.
So that's what makes that I think a difference. So you're right, is that there is that versus a grain of sand in the ocean. What am I talking about? But a grain of sand in a swimming pool.
Yeah, it's the equivalent of me going out into the middle of the Sahara Desert and waving my willy around, wondering if I'm going to hit anyone around the face with it. The likelihood is no.
That's such a good example. But if all those willies were around my head, then that would be more worrying.
So that's a Saturday night for Simon.
I'd prefer boobies, but yeah,
okay,
whatever you get. So yeah, there is a big lag on YouTube. Sorry, Lorraine. Yeah.
If you can, everyone, just jump over to Facebook if possible. Yeah. Apologies. It's one of those things that you can just never tell online. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I have no power over these things.
Homer says it depends how close you are to the camel.
In Sahara Desert.
Oh. Sorry, I didn't get that very slow. Anyway, so where are we?
Speaking of camels, Arnold Schwarzenegger did actually punch that camel in Conan the Barbarian.
No.
Yep. I think it was accidental. Oh. But he did actually clomp it one.
I've never seen it, so I don't know.
It's a fantastic film.
It's not, but...
No, it actually is.
No.
It's great. Grom.
No.
Okay.
Right, let's move to the next one.
Okay, I don't even know where we are. Was it this one?
Try it. Is it?
There we go.
Oh, yeah. Upon takeoff, the space shuttle reaches 17,600 miles per hour.
Holy shit.
That's why they get the impact and the boost that they get is massive, and that's one of the reasons they have to be able to try and resist the amount of G's that, they do the test where they're taken to.
But I mean, when you see the takeoff, obviously it takes a while to gain the momentum, doesn't it?
Mm.
So what point is that? The point where it reaches its fastest? Because it says upon the takeoff. So
upon takeoff, yeah, the shuttle.
So obviously, as it's creeping up and then it's gaining.
Yeah. So everything has to accelerate.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be immediately.
So at what point
initial,
does it meet? Yeah. So what point does it hit that speed?
Probably at the pinnacle of its curve.
Yeah,
it reaches 17. So I think it makes that within the first. If I remember, it makes it within the first 10 seconds or something. But it goes 0 to. I think it hits its first 1,000 within 2.5, 3 seconds, something.
Really?
Yeah, but that's because you're looking at a large object from far, far away. So in the same way as when you see a plane flying, it's travelling at 500 miles an hour or something like that, but it's travelling extremely slow because of your what was it, perspective. That's what I'm thinking about.
What was the biggest one before the recent? Was it the Saturn V? Was the huge one?
I don't know.
I think that was the biggest one. And when you saw the old footage of that taking off, there's something just. There's a really good picture. Is John Oliver, the American.
He's English.
He's English, but
he does a show in it, which is a fantastic show.
There's a brilliant where he's actually witnessing a rocket launch, and he just sums it up. He's just looking at it, and you just see your mouth. It's just like, yep.
But I mean, that's a vast amount of power. Rob says that, if that grain of sand was travelling at 10,000 metres per second, you'd be pretty pissed off if it hit you. Very true, because it then... so you have velocity plus mass equals...
cheese.
Yeah, cheese. There you go. Right,
well, you look like Swiss cheese by the end of it.
it takes 8 minutes 20 seconds for light from the sun to reach the Earth. This is a very famous.
I have a question.
God.
No, carry on.
It's a very famous statistic, but that's actually really interesting. So, light travels at 186,282 miles per second, and it takes 8 minutes 20 seconds to reach the Earth. That goes to show you just the vastness of that distance. So
my question.
Yeah.
Now, with the fact is obviously that when we see galaxies that are, millions of light years away or whatever, what we're seeing is basically light that has taken millions of years to travel to us. So what we're actually seeing for a lot of galaxies or a lot of stars and things may not even be there anymore.
Yeah.
The question is, if you could travel at light speed to these places, if you could view that place, would you see like an accelerate, literally watch it almost changing in front of your eyes?
Yeah, so effectively...
So say, for example, you were looking, there was say the light from the Earth.
Scale it down, first of all.
Okay, so
right?
let's say you were 100...
Let's say you
were 1,000 light years from Earth.
No, let's say we're 1 light year from Earth, right?
Okay.
So, we're at Earth and we're watching a target that's 1 light year away.
Okay.
So you're talking about a distance of 1 light year.
Yeah.
So if light travels at 186,282 miles per second, every second that you get closer to that object, you're going to get a snapshot of what it was at that point. So just say you then, every second you're traveling that distance, which would be the speed of light.
Yeah.
If you travelled 3 months down the way, you would get a snapshot of what that looked like 3 months ago. And so if it exploded 7 months, as you're getting closer and closer to 7 months away from that, in a light year. So it's a measure of distance, not time.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's a light year, so it's how long it would take light to travel from one distance to another over a period of a year.
Right.
And it's travelling at 186,282 miles per second. So at that distance, that would be the equivalent of 7 months.
Yeah.
You would see a snapshot of what it was at 7 months, because that's where the light's taken from this distance to get to where you are at 7 months. Does that make sense?
So you sort of
have I explained that properly?
Are you sort of catching up?
Yes,
with its history.
Yes.
As you're,
yeah.
That's what I wondered, because it's
so if you think of one particle of light, you wouldn't really talk about particle; it would be a frequency.
Yeah.
But just say, for argument's sake, it's a particle.
We have photons.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. A photon. It's travelling at 186,282 miles every second. Beep, 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 beep. And then over a year, it will travel that distance to get to Earth. So it's only that snapshot that you're seeing from that year. And then as the next snapshot happens, and so and so. So the closer you get, the shorter that snapshot would be.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So you would see it as it is. And then until you actually get to it, you see it how it is at that particular moment.
Because also doesn't something happen when the faster you travel, the closer to light speed, there's a time dilation or something happens.
There's a
theory.
There's a theory of that, but there's lots of theories of what happens close to the speed of light. But so there, about 7 years ago, I think it was.
They did an experiment, didn't two aircraft with.
That's a different thing. Go on.
No, sorry, you carry on.
No, go on.
They had. They had one. I think it was either 2 aircraft or 1 aircraft, and they both had these sort of like, I think they were called like nuclear timers or something. They were like the
nuclear clocks.
Nuclear clocks.
Yeah.
And they found that the one that was actually travelling at a faster speed registered time differently.
So I think I know the experiment you're talking about. Sorry, we've got a couple of things here. Right.
Neil said Saturn V is a great song by the Inspiral Carpets.
All right, that's what we missed. Right, so the experiment they did, they had 2 of them. Did they have them dive? And they had difference. You're talking about
an absolute fraction.
Yeah, a millionth of a second. You're talking, but they noticed that there was a difference, and because of that, that's what opened up the idea that it is possible to travel in time, even though it's a millionth of a second. But there was an experiment done in China. This would have been probably 2015 or 16, I think it was. Maybe it was a bit later.
Hello, Carrie.
Hi, Carrie.
She's back from the gym.
Nothing. And moving clocks do indeed run slow.
Ah.
No, I seem to think it was slightly different to that, Rob. You're probably right, and I'm wrong.
Again, Google, let us know. We like to get feedback.
I'm trying to think what the experiment was, and they had them.
I thought one of the nuclear clocks was travelling around the world at high speed, and that's where they noticed the difference. But one was stationary. I think it's something. Yeah, you may be right. Like that.
I thought it had something to do with the fact that they dived, and they found that there was something to do with gravity that had an interaction on it. But I may well be wrong. I'm just trying. I can't remember it clear enough.
Neil said 5,879 times 10 to the power of 12. That's how many miles are in a light year. I'm guessing that's a lot of zeros. No shit.
If it's to the power of 12, then that's exponential.
How do the power... When to say to the power of? How does that work?
Maths.
Maths.
So if you've got if you've got 10 to the power of 2, that means 10 times 10.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. If you've got maths to the 10, I keep saying maths. If you've got 10 to the power of 3, 10 cubed, that'd be 10 times 10 times 10.
So 10 to the power of 12 is 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10.
So 5.89 times 5.89, 10 times, and then that
to the power of so that time.
No, that would be that times 10, then to the power of 12 times. So
bloody hell.
Right.
A light year equates to 6 trillion miles in one Earth year. Oh my god. So now trillion is a scary, like billion. When you realise what a billion is terrifying enough. A trillion.
Right. So,
strap in, everyone. Here we go. Numbers.
What is it?
Right. So you've got
1,000 seconds is 14 minutes. Wait a minute. Let me do this. I've got this.
So let me get this right. So first of all, 1,000 thousands is a million. Is that correct?
Yes.
And a million millions is a billion.
Is a billion.
So
a billion
billions is a trillion.
Yeah. Right. So.
And an economy uses America spent how many trillion? Or how much debt there is?
Is it 13 trillion? Their debt is 13 trillion, I think. I know TL knew that off the top of his head. So 1,000 seconds equals 16 minutes and 40 seconds. 1 million seconds equals 11 and a half days. 1 billion seconds equals 31 and 3/4 years. 1 trillion seconds equals 31,710 years. But that's really good because it shows you the progression there. So 1,000 seconds is 16 minutes. I thought it was 14, but it's 16 minutes. 1 million seconds equals 11 and a half days. So that's a million seconds. A billion seconds, the difference between a million and a billion, you've got 11 and a half days to 31 and 3/4 years. That's a massive expansion. And then 1 trillion seconds is 31,710 years. So again, that's a great demonstration of just how exponential that is.
And Lorraine said, was that to do with the Hadron Collider thing? So with the Hadron Collider, that's what discovered the Higgs boson, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yes. I've got another thing right. Bloody hell.
You are full of knowledge today, dude.
It's all going to go tomorrow.
Rob said, had to look up the quote, but Einstein, a clock that is moving relative to the observer. I think that's talking, so will be measured to tick more slowly than the clock at rest in the observer's frame of reference. I think that's how he described space-time. If I remember right, that's Einstein describing space-time. So there's a couple of really good explanations of space-time, like on YouTube and stuff like that. But the experiment where they had the 2 atomic clocks, So I think that they had one in 2001. The U.S. Defense Department said that it could not account for but there's loads of stuff that goes missing in the defense budget. $2.3 trillion.
I've just fallen down the back of the couch.
In 2001, they couldn't account for that, and then they had a thing in front of Congress, and then they did the same thing again later, I believe, as well. But they have a deficit of, I think, 13 trillion.
How do you lose $2.3 trillion?
That's the defense budgets. There's so much that goes on when they deal with the budgets in America. But then that happens in every country as well. There's lots of... But that is just staggering. Again, just the size of that is really hard to quite agree. But I'm going to find out about that thing. I believe they had one atomic clock buried at sea level. Because... And then they had one running at altitude, and they started to deviate in time by just a fraction of a millisecond. But that showed that it had that, and I believe that's what they came to the conclusion that gravity had an action on time, and that's what lends then credence to the idea that you can kind of space warp. So like the idea of warping time is
they talk about bending time, don't they?
Yes. So there's a thing called an Einstein-Rosen bridge, where it's basically the idea of if time's linear and you had a piece of paper and then you twisted it around, you could get those two bits. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
that's what they think a wormhole is.
Exactly. Right. Shall we move on with this? I'm babbling too much. Sorry.
No. This is why we did it, because it's bloody fascinating.
But that's what I think the experiment with the thing.
We'll have to find out.
One atomic clock at sea level, and then one that was flying at space or altitude.
If you find out,
I can't remember if it died.
Throw it up and let us know.
Yeah. Right. Go on. You go.
Space is very cold and is around minus 270.45 Celsius. Absolute zero is minus 273.
Do you know what absolute zero is?
It has slipped my mind.
Right, so absolute zero is the temperature that they believe all matter comes to complete rest. So all matter, everything vibrates. So even solids vibrate, and then as they vibrate more, they become a liquid. As they vibrate more, they become a gas.
Yes.
But absolute zero, when things go down to 273... it's 273. Minus 273 is believed to be absolute zero, where everything that mankind knows comes to absolute rest, and there's no vibration.
Sounds very peaceful.
It is, yeah. So that's so you would freeze in an instant if you were exposed to wide open space.
What's liquid nitrogen temperature?
Well, that's so liquid temperature. Liquid nitrogen is a gas at room temperature. So room temperature is roughly about 17, 18 degrees Celsius. That's right, isn't it? About 20 degrees.
Yeah.
Your body temperature is roughly about 23, I think. I'm not really good with this. I have to admit, I'm talking out my anus. But I think roughly...
Your anus?
I think it's about... Say, for instance, is that. And I think liquid nitrogen will freeze at kind of minus... will freeze at minus 60 or something.
Okay.
Yeah, but I am taking a wild guess with that. So
I remember there was who's the TV the chef who always does very sort of bald hair. Bald hair. He's got bald hair.
His hair
bald hair. Bald.
Not Blumenthal, is it?
Yeah.
Heston Blumenthal.
And he had on the Jonathan Ross show. He had liquid nitrogen, and he was sort of like making, I think, like ice cream with it. And Jonathan, like he said, whatever you do, don't put your fingers in it. And the look on Jonathan Ross' face of, he's like, no, seriously, don't. And you could see like, the naughty little boy in him was just like, because it would just freeze your fingertip off, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. Yeah.
So that instantly just kills cells. Just
it's instant freezing.
Yeah. Don't play with liquid nitrogen, people. Especially you, Jonathan, you naughty boy.
Right, what's this?
For some reason, this is...
Versus.
Yeah, I don't know what's that doing. Is that going to... No, it works. Just don't know why it came up. Oh. How weird. It's gone. Right.
In 2014, it was found that the moon is actually this is really interesting. I don't know how many people will know this. Actually, lemon-shaped with the flattened poles and bulges on both the near and far side around its equator. This is due to the Earth's magnetic pull when the moon was young. Giving it a pinched end, which is always facing the Earth. So
I remember when I was young.
So when we look at it, it looks round, but in fact, it's slightly.
So is it, when you look at it, is it squished?
Slightly, but looking at it, it actually goes this way towards us.
So it's like it's got a beak.
Yeah, it's exactly. It looks like it's got a beak towards us.
Is that the Earth's gravitational pull then just stretching the
so,
material towards it?
So they think that it was probably hit. That's why it's massively cratered, and it was another object, possibly another moon, but another object that crashed into it, and then it formed one circular. And again, this is going back billions of years, and so that's the face that we always see, because the moon
Tidally locked.
Yes, exactly. So it travels around in its orbit, always with the same side facing us.
Yeah, that's why it's got its smiles. Oh, it's got its face, so it's basically going.
Hello, I'm the moon.
I'm the moon. That's one of the best things the Boosh ever did.
Yeah, so it's kind of lemon shaped. Go on, you go.
Neptune has only completed one orbit around the Sun since its discovery in 1846. It takes 165 years, only recently finishing its first full post-discovery orbit in 2011. Congratulations, Neptune, well done. I know we're a little bit late to the party on that, but
Isn't that fascinating?
it feels kind of sad in a way that it's taken that long just to do one lap.
But if you think how far it is out, that it's and also the speed that it's travelling.
Doesn't it have an elliptical?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's kind of like me running a marathon, or like
165 years.
Fuck this. Okay, last one.
So I had two on here. So outer space is only 62 miles away.
Yay, just down the road.
So, but that, if you think about that, that doesn't seem a lot, does it? 62 miles.
No, that's...
And then you're effectively in space.
Colchester from here, because I live in basically just outside Braintree in Rain. Colchester from here is 20 miles. So that's only really...
I wonder how far it is into London from you.
I mean, so Colchester is 20, so Ipswich is probably about 30. So basically from probably me to maybe sort of the eastern coast, sort of up towards sort of Yarmouth, that kind of way.
Oh, right, okay.
You're probably looking maybe sort of 60 miles, probably a bit more. But yeah, so it's not that far.
And that's considered space. And this is I've found quite interesting. Astronauts can't burp in space, so you'd be fucked. But this is
explode.
This is because the lack of gravity in space means the air in the stomach doesn't separate and rise from their ingested food.
Being in space doesn't do astronauts much good, does it?
No, it absolutely mullers them up.
But massive increase of cancer risk as well, isn't there?
But that's because of the amount of radiation that's up there. So do you want to take that off?
Okay.
One of the biggest things is that when you get into space and trying to get to the moon is the thing called the Van Allen belt, which is a belt of radiation.
Not the Van Halen belt. I wish they'd be.
But yeah, is from the sun. And that...
Sorry, I can't think of it. All I'm thinking of now is as you go into space, when you hit the Van Halen belt, you just hear dun 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 dun.
Panama. Yeah, there's such a large source of radiation from that. So and also when there is solar storms, that can cause a lot of these radiation just to penetrate anywhere you are in space and stuff. That was one of the things with those tubular things in the moon that could shield you from that.
This is what we were talking about when we had the conversation. Now, a lot of people believe that we didn't go to the moon. We've had this conversation before, probably on here. It is one of the, as you've said, it's one of the great kind of, I suppose, contributing factors to why you could say that we haven't been, because the technology wasn't really there to be able to deal with the Van Allen belt. Yeah,
and especially at the time of the first moon landing, there was an extremely large solar storm, which would have meant there was even more radiation than was normal. And if you know about the suits that they wore, there was actually very thin suits. The later suits are a lot thicker and are a lot better built to resist, but that was to resist radiation. One of the reasons both China and Russia felt they couldn't go any further was because of this Van Allen belt and this immense amount of radiation that even today, with things like kind of Chernobyl and stuff like that, they struggle to have any kind of good defense against that level of radiation. But I know TL said when he was watching before that he could explain it, but he didn't have time to explain it about the suits and stuff. But that's something that
we are all ears.
Yeah, that's something that I am really interested in, because I have for a long time tried to find out about that. There's lots of unanswered questions, but there can be reasons why there's unanswered questions. Yeah. But that one thing in particular is always kind of I've struggled to understand. The
one for me was watching some of the footage of the astronauts on the moon, and the one where the astronaut trips over, but he literally goes over and then rotates back, literally like you are on a harness.
Yeah,
and and people watch. Oh no, that's just this, but that's not how physics work in that kind of environment. The rotation looks bizarre.
There's an extremely small amount of gravity on the moon, apparently. But again, I'm no physicist, so
yeah. There's no way you can rotate on the spot like that without the aid of something. And I just watched it, and they played it on Joe Rogan, and Joe Rogan said it's one of the things that made him think this is a bit weird, because you're looking at it like, that does not look right.
Also, as well, there's lots of other things that people don't quite know as well. All the footage you see of them on the moon and stuff like that, they didn't have a separate feed. So in NASA, they had like a room where they had all the...
Was it one...
It was just one screen, and everyone filmed all that footage from the one screen being shown. So it wasn't that it was an independent feed that was given out to various syndicated broadcast houses and things like that, which is really interesting. That's again something that I only found out as I was reading up more and more about it. And there's lots of reasons why things can be the way they are. Little man, he's very interested in you, isn't he?
He is.
And there's lots of explanations for lots of things. The moon is 1/6 gravity of Earth. Yeah, so there is a little bit of... Thank you, Homer. There is a little bit of gravity there. But there's lots of... and again, I don't know enough to be able to know enough about these things. No. So you're taking a lot of...
There are a lot of factors, we'd said this before, about the particular time, the political climate, everything that was going on.
Yeah, which is really interesting. I can't remember the guy's name. He unfortunately died, but he was the head of the crew at the time, and he actually hung a lemon on the it wasn't the shuttle, but the bit that they were practicing to get in and out of before he died, when there was a massive fire. And this was kind of just a couple of months, I think, before they actually made a successful launch and went to the moon. And he was saying that it was a real shit show, and that the thing wasn't developed properly, and it was going to be the death of them. I can't remember what his name is. He has the same name as the guy who plays the character in CSI Vegas. Can't think what his name is.
That's out of my wheelhouse.
But yeah, so
that's Gus Grissom.
Grissom, yes, thank you. Oh, excellent. Yeah, Gus Grissom.
Oh, I love having you guys here. It just makes life so much easier.
If you look up about Gus Grissom and some of the things he said and the interviews that he gave before he sadly died, it's really interesting. It puts it into a different context, and he was at the cutting edge of what was going on at that time before he sadly died. and there was lots of very suspicious deaths with people that had blueprints, and they had various other things and stuff like that. And again, it's not to say that it didn't happen. It's not to say that it did happen. And there's lots of really renowned scientists like that. What's his name? Tyson.
Even he, though, when he was pressed, because there's something that he did mention, is that at some point because they lost the feed, didn't they, at a certain point? And he said, when they pushed him and they said about all of this, he said, look, he believes that they went to the moon. He said, but what is more likely than the fact of that the whole thing was faked is that he claims that the footage that we see is more like that they lost the footage and they recreated the footage. That's what he claims.
Which is, that again, that's a really interesting concept.
Yeah.
You know. But you know, there's lots of scientists like him who say, "Oh no, it definitely happened," and all the rest of it, and they're far better qualified than anything I'm going to know about. But there's just various things that do seem like they're unanswered questions that haven't been answered, even by really good scientists. And it might be that they just don't give it credence to be bothered to answer it, or it may be that there's a good reason why maybe there's not the obvious answers there. But it is an interesting, again, like you're saying, at the time that there was such a
the space race was such a politically important.
Yeah, exactly. For during the Cold War to show who was the superior superpower. But who knows? Who knows?
Right, ladies and gentlemen, on that bombshell. It's not bombshell. People have been talking about it for bloody decades.
Oh, I like that one.
That's got some bass, isn't it? Oh. No, mine hasn't got that same.
I like that.
Sexual chocolate baby. Don't know why I did that in the Sean Sexual chocolate baby. Well, thank you all for joining us tonight. Right. Thank you very much. Apologies there hasn't been any music tonight, ladies and gentlemen, but I am erring on the side of caution.
So you got 2 gigs this weekend?
Yeah, I don't normally like doing 2 gigs because due to reflux, where most singers will recover from one day to the next, I don't.
So where are you this weekend?
We've got a private function on Saturday, and then we're doing a daytime one at the White Hart in... I think is it West Bergholt or out that way, just outside Colchester.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah,
cool.
It'll be fun. It's always that prayer of what is my voice going to be like when I wake up in the morning, and what songs are we going to have to change to accommodate it. So, but hey ho, what are you doing the weekend?
Friday and Saturday.
I'm fidgeting this much, ladies, because I really need a piss.
Oh. Friday and Saturday I'm with Saviours. So Friday the Crown, Saturday I think somewhere in Whitford. Sunday I'm with
you got 3
Sons of Southpaw in Wivenhoe, I think.
Oh, okay.
It's a really nice place, mad place. I think that's a festival thing. I'm not sure.
It's not that tiny little pub.
Out the back, I think they've got a stage and stuff. So I think we're doing that.
Cool.
Not sure if anyone else is on, but I think it's kind of like.
Is it the pub? If you go inside, there's literally no room. And
yeah. I think it's that. I think I've only played there once before.
Yeah, they booked us, and then on the run up to the gig, I actually spoke to them. They're like, "Well, we hadn't heard from you, so we just presumed it wasn't on anymore."
Oh,
and I'm
God.
like, no, we booked it. We've got the confirmation email to say it's booked.
Oh, sorry, man.
So we never.
I think Sons of Southpaw have played there loads of times, so they do.
Maybe it's just us.
So I'm there, and then on Monday I'm with Stella Groove.
Oh God! So you got 4 gig weekend?
Yeah.
Bloody Nora, sir.
I like that.
Right. Might expect a message from me, by the way. My voice still hasn't recovered from when I blew out about 6 foot. Jesus. Dude, that's not good.
That's not good, man. Have you got a... there must be some sort of infection or something like that.
Yeah, I go and see someone about that, dude, because if... blowing out that long ago, I know there's been a few singers who've been, especially illness-related ones, that have really knocked their voice for 6. But it might be worth going and seeing someone about that. So if you can afford it, maybe like an ear, nose and throat specialist, or just your doctor to start with. But don't leave things like that.
Long, should it?
No, definitely not.
Emma, thank you so much. Hope you feel better, Mike. That's so sweet.
Bless you, darling.
I hope you guys have a good weekend. And you, Em, as well. Yeah, thank you for joining us.
All right, you're all lovely. We love you to bits. You'll take care now.
We didn't disco, did we?
Okay, I think we'll sneak a quick one in. Ready? Are you ready out there? Here we go. Where's the noise gone?
No disco for us.
Okay.
There's no disco for us.
That makes no sense. Hang on.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, man.
I want to know why. Was it that one? No.
No, there's no disco. We'll have to re-disco next week.
That's really... I know exactly why.
Why?
See that thing over there?
Mm.
That's not turned on. Silly boy.
Have a lovely weekend, everybody. It's a bank holiday weekend over here.
Oh, you know what it is? It's a silent disco. There we go. Just put a tune in your head, everyone.
And you, Lorraine, too.
All right, Tay.
Thank you for joining
everyone.
us. Be
Much
kind.
love to you.
See you all next week.
Bye.